Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well because we are back with another video. Now the BB update has been out for about 2 days now, and I feel like I've had a decent amount of time to give you guys my thoughts on everything that was released and whether or not this was a successful update. So throughout this video, I am going to discuss the new heroes and if they're any good, the sequel era Supremacy, and a few of the main hero changes as well. And then I'll be giving this update a rating out of 10 at the end of the video. So remember to drop your rating down in the comments below out of 10 because I'm interested to see what you guys think and whether or not you guys thought this was a successful update. So with all that said, we are going to jump in. Make sure to subscribe if you're brand new to the channel and hit the bell icon if you haven't already for more Battlefront 2 videos in the future. So first up, let's talk about the new heroes. This update brought with it 2 new heroes in BB-8 and BB-9E. When announced, these heroes were pretty controversial topic as not a lot of people wanted them added into the game when there was so many other great options for heroes and villains. There was a mixed vibe with these droids being announced, and especially negative towards BB-9E as his screen time doesn't really justify a position in the game because he was barely in the movies. I was hesitant too when they got announced, but since playing the update I've been pleasantly surprised. So we're going to start off with talking about BB-8. With BB-8, he uses his shock prod for his primary weapon that briefly stuns an enemy and causes a decent amount of damage to them. However, when taking on heroes you need to be a lot more strategic. His first ability is resistance backing, where he scrambles enemy radars while revealing hostiles to himself and allies, and if you then attack those enemies while they're revealed, they will take increased damage. His second ability is rolling charge, where he rolls forward to knock down an enemy that is standing in his path, and it's really similar to Han's shoulder charge, and it can be really effective against infantry because it does a lot of damage and it makes them really easy to take out. The third ability for BB-8 is called cable spin, and this is my favorite out of the 3. BB-8 deploys his cables and lashes out with a spin, inflicting high damage to all enemies, which is probably the most fun ability to use in my opinion. The range and damage on this can be boosted with star cards, which makes it extremely powerful, so make sure you guys level up the star card that actually gives you further range and damage for this because it's really helpful out on the battlefront and it does a ton of damage. His passive abilities include health on kill, which is pretty self-explanatory, swift reaction, which boosts the cooldown of all allies, and then technical support, which captures objectives faster, and I really like the idea of these droids having extra passive abilities because it gives them that more of a support role feel, which is what they're out there for. They're not going to be the highest scoring heroes on the field, they're not going to get a ton of kills, although some people have managed to do so, but they are really a support role, so giving them these extra passive abilities is a nice feature. Moving on to BB-9E, he also uses the shock prod for his primary weapon. His first ability is smoke screen, which obstructs enemies' vision and reveals their position, charge up, which emits a pulse that prevents shock prod and friendly blasters from overheating, and finally shock spin, which pushes and damages enemies away with an electric pulse. Further away enemies have their blasters overheated, and the closer enemies take damage while the ability is still active. So a little bit less of an offensive hero in BB-9E. He is of course more supportive. He doesn't do as much damage as BB-8, which is understandable because that's how they kind of designed it, but he does have some cool passive abilities. So his first 2 passives are the same as BB-8 in health on kill and technical support, but then his third passive ability is called back to support, which regenerates the health of close by allies, and I think this is a cool touch. It really gives you that overall supportive feel to your team. For me, I was pleasantly surprised and think the droids are actually a lot of fun. They take some getting used to at first as they're support heroes and you need to be patient with them. I personally prefer BB-8 over BB-9E as he just has better opportunity for damage output on enemies, and his cable spin is probably one of my favorite abilities to use in the whole game. So in my opinion, I really like the droids, even though I was a bit hesitant on them at first. Moving on though, let's talk about the sequel era Supremacy. Now Supremacy, which was formerly known as Capital Supremacy, received a name change in the last update due to when DICE add the original trilogy maps later on in the year, they will not feature capital ships and will remain ground based, so there wasn't much point in calling it Capital Supremacy anymore. In this update we did get 3 sequel maps added to Supremacy in Jakku, Takodana, and the most recent map Agent Kloss. On top of this, we also got capital ship interiors for the MC-85 Star Cruiser and the Resurgent class Star Destroyer, which both look incredible. Now I'm not the biggest fan of Supremacy as a mode because I do prefer Galactic Assault, however these maps are refreshing to see, and I can imagine a lot of you that prefer Supremacy will be loving these maps as well. The new locations are quite large and spaced out, especially compared to the previous maps from the prequel era, but I think the big winner here are the capital ship interiors. These look amazing, and I think the interior of the Resurgent class Star Destroyer is mind-blowingly detailed, so big props to DICE for the map design on this one. Moving on from Supremacy though, some smaller things that were added in this update that may have gone unnoticed were 2 new emotes, one for Finn and one for Kylo Ren. With BB-8 being added with the thumbs up emote, Finn has also been given his thumbs up emote, which I thought was a pretty cool touch. Kylo Ren's new emote is called Showdown, which uses one of his main poses from the movie, and both of these can be unlocked by completing milestones. Now, before I wrap up, let's touch on a few of the hero changes that I've experienced so far. From playing a few rounds of heroes vs villains, Palpatine feels much less powerful than before, which is great. I feel as though he was a little bit overpowered with his ability to drain stamina from Saber heroes extremely quickly, so I think this is a positive change for him. I haven't had much experience with the Anakin nerf just yet, however I didn't think his damage was the problem, it was more his ability loop, which is still currently in the game, so potentially still an issue. Bosk received a host of fixes and it seems like he's back to normal again, making him an extremely viable option for both heroes vs villains and Galactic Assault, because his Predator instincts and his proximity mines have both been fixed. So this is really good change for him, and you guys can go back to playing Bosk the way he's meant to be played. And the last point I wanted to touch on was Darth Vader and his ability to block and attack while choking enemies. Now I briefly tested this in arcade and I'm not 100% sure if it's working right. However, it could have just been that it was in arcade, but I found that when using choke with Darth Vader, it doesn't register and pick up all the enemies in front of him. It caused all the enemies in front of him damage that were in range of the choke, but it wasn't picking them all up. I'm assuming the choke should be working the same as it was before, just with the ability to block and attack during the animation, and I'm going to keep testing this and I'll test it in the online modes as well and keep you guys updated, but I don't think it's working the way it was intended to. So overall guys, I think this update was great. The new heroes are a lot of fun. They're pretty much completely bug free from what I can tell. The sequel era Supremacy maps add a fresh touch to the mode, and the MC-85 and Resurgent class Star Destroyer interiors look absolutely amazing. The hero nerfs feel good. Bosk is back to his good old self, and Darth Vader I'm sure is a work in progress, but I can tell when this ability works 100% it's going to be amazing. So for this update guys, I am going to give it an 8.8 out of 10. A relatively bug-free update, 2 new heroes, new maps, hero fixes, and much more being added, so I am pretty happy with how this one turned out. So I'm gonna get out of here now guys. Make sure you leave your score down in the comments below and let me know what your favorite part of this update was, and I will be back very soon with another video on the channel. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next one, and may the Force be with you always.
The Sith are all powerful. You are no match for me.